Hello everyone, this is Lexicon Architect, and for today's commander we're going to be looking at Hylda of the Icy Crown, which is a 4-mana Azorius creature. First of all, let me just talk about this deck. This deck, I will never play it in paper on or MTGO, just for the simple fact that the deck is annoying and is probably going to make you one of the most hated players at the table. But if you don't care and you want to terrorize your opponent, then this deck is for you. So let's get into what the commander does. So the commander has 3 separate abilities. And basically it says whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you pay 1, and when you do, you can choose 1. You can either create a 4/4 elemental, put a 1/1 counter on each creature control, or you can scry 2 and then draw a card. So simply enough, we're just going to mostly be making tokens most of the time, but once we do have an established board state with a lot of creatures on board, then that's the point when we start putting 1/1 counters on each of our creatures. The only time we'll use the third ability to scry 2 then draw a card is if we're really digging for cards, or if you just want to be drawing cards just to have more things in your hand, then yeah, you could be tapping multiple creatures each turn. So it's really up to you what you want to do, especially if you have the available mana to pay 1 to do the ability. As far as creatures go, we're very light on creatures. We're only running 18 for the simple fact that the commander is already generating us a bunch of creatures anyway. And there's really no need to go over the creatures because they all basically do the same thing. Minus Gold Mirror and Sliver Mirror as mana dorks. The rest of the deck, the creatures basically either tap something down that and make it so that it can't untap during their untap step, or just tap them down for the turn. So it's really up to you what you want to do. You can tap creatures on your opponent's turn, tap creatures on your turn, if you really feel the need to get certain creatures out of the way so you can attack in. And that's basically the theme of the creature package. As far as sorcery and instants go, it's all the same thing. We do have some that draw us cards, lets us look at the top cards of our library as like preordained. But anyway, mostly what you're doing here is just continuously tapping creatures, generating tokens, pumping the squad, and drawing cards if you need to. Then we also have some counter spells in here, like, for example, Counter Spell, Cryptic Command, Dolan's Veto, and Negate, to make sure that our opponents do not cast a spell that we don't like and we don't want to resolve. As far as artifacts, it's pretty simple. We're just running a bunch of artifacts to help us ramp. I will talk about Ashnod's Altar, though, which is an extremely good card in this deck, especially since we're generating so many elemental tokens. If we don't need a token, we can just use Ashnod's Altar to sack it, add 2 colorless, and allow us to play more cards. And then there's a new card called Hylda's Crown of Winter. It's a 3-mana artifact that during your turn, it costs 1 less to activate, but you can tap this to tap target creature. And if you really need to, you can pay 3 to sacrifice it and draw a card for each tap creature your opponent controls. So it's simple. We can use this as a way to keep tapping stuff, or when we really do need to crack it to draw cards, we can do so. As far as enchantments go, it's just some tax cards and things that force your opponent's cards to come into the battlefield tapped for authority of the consoles and blind obedience. And then we have a little bit of card draw in Tasca's Welcome. As far as utility lands, we have Castle Ardenvale to generate tokens, Castle Vantress to help us scry, Mana Turfs to allow us to draw cards if we attack with 2 or more creatures, and Rivendell which allows us to scry, but we can only activate it if we control a legendary creature. And that is the deck in a nutshell. So it's going to cost you $179 in paper. I'm pretty sure it's a lot cheaper on Moto. But like I said, this is not the type of deck I would like to play per se. But if this is up your alley, go for it, give it a try, modify it, change it to the way that you want it to operate. I am just giving you the template and the base level deck, so you are free to do whatever you want with it. And I hope you have a good night.